On this show, you'll find inspiration, motivation, and advice from experts, as well as valuable tips on how to get started or improve your business. Let's dive into how you can begin and grow your wisdom business. Inspiring others looks different for everyone. How will you inspire? Welcome to the Wise Zone podcast, and today we're chatting with Devan Robinson. Devan is a self-worth coach for growth-minded millennial women and military spouses. She's a motivational speaker and the author of the book, What's Your Worth? And I don't mean money. She talks about and shares about ways for people, especially women, to combat social conditioning by digging deep and strengthening their self-worth. Welcome to the Wise Zone podcast, Devan.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, lovely to chat to you today. Tell us how you got started with your coaching business.
You would think I would have a succinct answer to that by now, but every time someone asks, I'm like, oh, how did I get to this point in my life? So I think it's hard to pinpoint to one spot, you know?
Yeah.
It's like all these little things build up. But what really got me going and like the straw on the last straw on the camel's back, whatever that phrase is, I don't remember. I was in what I had thought was my dream job.
Right.
Turns out, as you can suspect, it wasn't. It wasn't because the job itself wasn't my dream job. I enjoyed the job. It was the leadership in the job that kind of, I realized they were bringing me down a little too much, and my glow, my essence, my being was being shut down, pushed down. Like every day I was at work, you know, I had that knot in my stomach every time I saw my supervisor's car in the parking lot. I was in survival mode, doing a lot of fawning and freezing type stuff. And I was like, it finally got to the point where I was like, this is not me. What is happening? What is going on?
Yeah.
And that is what kind of triggered that whole movement of me digging into self-worth and personal growth and self-discovery. So from there, when I kind of dug in and realized, okay, my glow is gone, how the heck do I get it back? That's where it kind of started. That's what pushed me. That was the trigger point, I think.
And I love your niche there. Like you mentioned millennial women and military spouses. Why did you go in that direction?
Well, because that's me. I mean, I'm a millennial. I'm a military spouse. I work with people outside of that range as well. But really, you know, that is who I am. That's my essence. So it kind of helps me relate to people in those same spots. You know, a lot of times it's entrepreneurs who are just starting out or want to become entrepreneurs. They're in the professional world and they want to get out there and be entrepreneurs. A lot of military spouses, because that's my community. That's who I talk to. That's who I know. And just women in, you know, the age range 25 to 45. So the easiest term was millennial.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And so when you decided to start it, was there a particular process you went through? Like, did you go through a whole research phase and where do I start? What do I do? You know, all that sort of stuff. Or did you do any courses, you know, yourself? How did you start?
Well, don't we all question ourselves a little bit? Like, what the heck is, what do I do now? What is this? You know? So I did, so the first thing I did a few years before starting and just full tilt going in, I did a human design test. Have you ever done a human design personality
I've heard of them.
Type deal? So basically, and I'm not an expert on human design, I'm going to preface with this. So don't come to me if you want your human design read, because that is not what I can do. I can help you interpret what you get from a professional, but I can't do more than that. But I got a human design done by a professional. And in that, basically, it's telling you it's like your soul guide is what she called it. So when you're born, the stars align in a certain spot, the time is right, the place, your name, all the things, they come together, right?
Yeah.
And so the human design kind of takes all those pieces, all those different pieces that happen and aligned on your birth date, time,
specific, location, everything.
Yes, everything takes all of that into consideration and gives you a guide that helps you understand yourself a little bit better. Why you're on this earth in a more vague type of way. It doesn't be like you are meant to be a college instructor for communication at this school. It doesn't do that.
It just gives you,
it gives you some guides, some guidelines. And when I got mine, the thing that stuck out to me the most and still sticks with me to this day is that it said, I was put on this earth to be a guide. That's what I was put on this earth to be.
Beautiful.
So when I read that, it resonated with me so much. And from there, it was, okay, how do I be a guide? Right. Yes. So that answers that question of what did I do now? So I figured out I need to be a guide. I already had a bachelor's degree and master's degree. I didn't want to go back to school for like a long period, like an 8-year stint to become like a psychologist or a psychiatrist or nurse practitioner, those kind of guides.
Yeah.
I had always thought I wanted to be a college professor, which is a form of a guide, and it's still, in there. But really, I think it comes down to what I wanted to do was teach others and help them. So you don't have to be a college professor to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's why I started my coaching business, because I can guide other women. I can teach them so that what happened to me doesn't happen to them.
Yeah.
So they can strengthen that internal validation, that self-worth, that self-confidence. And we can do it, on one-on-one. They could do it by watching my Instagram. I don't care how they do it, just as long as they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They get the message.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I figured out I wanted to be a life coach and I wanted to follow that path. Then I signed up for a coaching course because I'm one of those people that feels like they need classes and instructors and mentors and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So I signed up for a 1-year program that helped me get certified and accredited through the International Coaching Federation.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that's, how I started my journey.
That's amazing.
I started the research part and the certification and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's a validation process too, isn't it, sometimes for yourself? And then, helping you move further forward. So going through that stage, you've gone through your course, you've worked out who you want to help and why obviously you want to help them and everything. Did you go through a phase of, research, like jumping out there into your potential audience and asking them what their needs and wants might be so you could structure your coaching program?
Sure. So I'll tell you that in the beginning, it's really hard because you want to help everybody.
Yes.
Right. So it's really hard to niche down. Everybody has that problem.
Yeah.
And honestly, it wasn't until more recently that I could even niche it down further. I still kind of sometimes feel like I'm a little vague with my niche because some people are like, my niche is moms who have 2 children with red hair. It just it seems like it's very specific. And I'm like, I'm not that specific. Yeah. I still am kind of general, but to go back to your question, in the beginning, I had people I had my coaching program who helped me learn how to be an appropriate ethical coach, right? Yep. And understanding the difference between what coaching is, what mentoring is, what counseling is, understanding the direction.
Yep.
And so then I kind of just put myself out there, got some people, got some experience. And it wasn't until I hired, a business mentor and my own coaches that were specific for entrepreneurs that really got me looking into that market research type stuff that you're mentioning, and kind of seeing what people need. So to answer the question, at the beginning, I didn't. And I used a lot of I was my market research, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
But then over the last year or 6 months, year to 6 months, I did start doing actual market research where I, built surveys, asked for feedback, gathered the information, did interviews, all that kind of stuff to try to get more than just my own ideas out there to form my programs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would love to ask you, from based on what you learned too, and this would probably be great for audience to realize the differences between a mentor or a coach or counseling. What did you discover in that regard?
Right. That is a good question. I'm glad you asked. So counselors, this is the easiest way for me to describe it. Counselors, therapists, those people ask you more of the why questions and bring that awareness to you that you need in order to understand and process things that have happened to you, right?
Right.
They are more in the past to the present type deal.
Okay.
Coaches are more for the present to the future. Right. We are the ones that help you once you've become aware, once you've seen what you need to change, why you're doing things. We're the ones that help you apply the changes.
Right. Okay.
We help you come up with the plan, help hold you accountable, give you a sounding board, someone who is not in your life and who is not biased towards anything, like friends or family kind of deal, who can give you and ask you a lot of those what questions. So you start with the why. I always say everyone should have both therapists and a coach because they work together really well.
Yeah.
As long as you're open with both people. And then a mentor is more of someone who kind of walks you through the path that they've already been in. Mm-hmm. So they're the ones helping you do what they've done, right? Yep. So there's like programs out there that would be business mentorship / more mentorship, even though they call themselves business coaches. And so it kind of throws me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But coaches don't tell you what to do. It's not like a sports coach. They're not the same.
Yeah.
A life coach, career coach, executive coach, we are here to help you find the answers that are within yourself, not to tell you our answers, because we don't live in your life. Yeah. We aren't experts of you. Yeah. We are just experts in the techniques to help you discover you.
Yeah.
So if you have a problem, I highly suggest going to a coach because it makes it a lot easier to solve that problem when someone isn't putting their 2 cents in there as well.
Yeah.
In my opinion, of course.
It's like they almost ask the questions that make you come up with the answers yourself. Well, that's what it is, really. But
it is. It's exactly that.
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to ask ourselves those questions, because you don't, you know your intentions. You know things in your brain, and until you say it out loud, it might still make sense in your head, but it doesn't make sense when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
So answering those questions and digging deep with someone who's not going to tell you yes or no is so powerful because you come up with your own solutions. You come up with your own answers. You find that word that you were looking for, but you couldn't ever pinpoint because of the activities or the questions that the coach is asking you.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say that I thought of when I was talking about that, what was it? Coaching. I don't remember. Maybe it'll come back to me.
It'll come back to you. But I know, and it's such a good point you make there. And it is something that, I think all of us, anyone who runs a business or is, trying to scale just, to get some momentum or whatever, anything really. You don't even have to have a business to get a coach, to be honest. You can get life coaches and everything as well. But
yes,
with respect to your point where you made, sometimes we know what we have to do, but having that question thrown at us, not necessarily asking just quite general, do you know what you have to do? It's more the specific of a question. So, for example, just recently I felt quite overwhelmed. I'm like, I've got all these projects going on. I don't know where to start. And I knew I had to prioritize. I had to sort of, narrow it down, and big rocks, little rocks, all that sort of stuff. And my husband, out of all people, like, he runs a team and everything on himself. And he turned around to me and he goes, honestly, what is your priority? Five top priorities. What is it? And just him asking me that and just talking it through with him. So sometimes it's that motion of, okay, there's that question that's been asked, but actually talking it through with someone is the beneficial part. And I think that's what a coach is amazing to have for. It's that bounce off. It's that need to just have someone there who's listening to you, really acknowledging what you're saying, and then asking the questions that will give you that momentum for that thought process to go, okay, yes, I know I've got those 5. And then he asks the next question, then I've got I think that's what I love about coaches, and, that my perspective anyway,
right.
With that regard. I would love to ask you obviously going through now the phase that you went through, the phase recently of just asking your audience as well, like, what they might need. I'm guessing, was that to sort of redefine what you're offering or channel in a different direction, expand? What was the reasoning behind that? And what did you discover from that?
Mm-hmm. So the reason I did the market research was because I needed to hear the words coming from somebody else to hear what strong self-worth would do for them.
Yeah.
Because I know what it would do for me. And I know what knowing my worth, not comparing myself to other people, removing that negative self-talk and setting those healthy boundaries are for me. But I wasn't sure exactly what everyone else felt they would get out of those things. Because I know what I want to work with people on. I want to work with people on being successful. And whatever definition of successful is for them. But in order to be successful, we have to work through those blockers that are in our way. And all of them are mental. All of them are mental. And we have that control. That's the one thing we have control over is our thoughts, right? We have control over it. If someone is listening to this and thinking, well, no, I don't. Well, okay, but think again.
Yeah.
You can change your thought, right? So
but it was validating what thoughts people have. Is that what? Yep. Okay. Yeah.
So it was validating what thoughts people had, making sure I was actually even going in the right direction, because my plan is to launch a course in the next month or 2. I'm giving myself some wiggle room.
Good girl.
But I want to launch a course that people can use to sort of DIY some of this stuff before they decide if they want to work with a coach or not. Because I feel like there's a lot of pieces you can do on your own with some guidance, some recorded guidance that will help you see if spending time and investing in yourself is worth it. Because if you can't make it through the course, then maybe you're not ready for a coach. Or if you make it through the course and you got everything you need, then awesome. That's that's what I want.
Yeah.
But I want to provide the different options. I have the book, I'll have a course, and I'll have, coaching. So there's the 3 different things that people can use, 3 different tools. Plus I do a bunch of random reels on Instagram because I'm corny. So those are there.
You're awesome. That's good.
So if people need me, there are a bunch of different ways.
There's a whole lot of ways to find you.
Yeah, but that's why I did the market research especially, was to just validate that I'm talking about things that people want to hear about.
Yeah. And look, we're constantly doing that, aren't we? It's like, every phase of growth or every sort of revisit, review, revise, all that sort of stuff. There's, we're always touching base with our audience and potential audience as well. You mentioned something before, and it made me think, well, it's so true when you're creating content and working out and validating who else is out there and what they're needing. And it's validating what we presume, but at the same time too, it's also validating what you're providing is what they need. And you mentioned, with regards to asking the questions of your audience and saying, what is it that you really need help with? That's almost like a two-way coaching, isn't it? It's like them answering the questions for you and them inspiring the ideas in your head. It always goes both ways, no matter what the conversation is between, yourself and your audience. And I think that's I guess for all of us who do share our, wisdom or guide others or help others, you've got to have an open ear. You can't just be sort of one-sided, can you? You've always got to have an open ear and open to changing the way you do things.
Absolutely. I think if you want to just push your idea until it works, that's cool. But if it's not working, there are probably reasons why it's not working. So one of those possible things is the content. One of those possible things is the wording you're using. One of those possible things is that you're not reaching the right audience. So those are the things that market research can help you understand. And it can also help you with pricing as well, and potentially get you a few warm leads as well. So
that leads me to the next question. I'd love to ask you, like you said, you can be found everywhere. What do you find is the most popular way of discovering you?
Oh, that's really hard. Most of mine is through Facebook or word of mouth.
Awesome. That's really good. Word of mouth. You can't, that's awesome. That's just amazing. Like a lot of people, word of mouth, if someone's talking about you, that's just that's a nice pat on the back, don't you think?
Yeah. And someone told me, someone said at one of these conferences the other week that I was at, what did they say? They said, you never know. Oh no, your name and business might be talked about in a room that you'll never enter. And that is something to keep in mind. Like, even if you might be getting crickets because no one clicks like on your post, but they're probably still reading it.
Yeah.
How many views do you get on an Instagram reel versus how many likes you actually get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people are seeing it. People might be talking about you. So just being consistent and putting yourself out there, even though it can be a little scary and you might get some people that are negative Nancy's or just feel like arguing, that don't let that stop you, just be consistent and be out there and tell your truth and help the people that you're meant to help.
Yes, such a good point to make. That is such a good point to make. It's so true. And it's interesting you saying that now, because only literally a couple of days ago I was talking about this, that, you can't rely just on Google Analytics. You can't just rely on all the likes that you have and things like that to know who's talking about you, who's mentioned you, or who's shared something about you, or an email that you've sent on and they've forwarded that email to someone else. If you feel that you're getting crickets, just like you said, don't give up, because you just don't know who's literally talking about you or who's sharing something about you that you don't even, Google Analytics or wherever it is, analytics isn't picking up on. It's like...
Right. And it's especially hard because there's so many different places that people expect you to be on.
Yes.
They expect you to have your Facebook business page, have your Google page, have your website, have your Instagram, and all these things are required for you to be credible, in quotation marks, because this is a podcast. And it's just exhausting, it's exhausting to be on those places. And I feel the overwhelm sometimes as well. So more than sometimes, probably. And so just don't I just don't want people to give up just because they don't have the likes or the comments or the whatever.
It takes
things.
time. It takes time. And it's just constant reaching out, isn't it? Just keep reaching out. If you feel like after a certain period of time you're not getting something that you presume, a result that you presume you should have by that time, reach out. Reach out to different levels. Reach out to a coach. Reach out to your audience. Just reach out. I would love to ask you, how have you grown personally in the way you actually share your wisdom business?
I've grown a lot in these last 2 years since I started my business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you make a lot of mistakes, and you market one way, you market another way, you have one offer, you have another offer. And the things that I've personally grown and realized is I like to call myself a recovering perfectionist. That's
I like
what
that.
I am, because perfectionism comes from the need to please everyone.
I like that. Yep.
And I no longer want to please everyone. I have realized that I'm priceless. There is not a number I can put on my value. There might be a price that I can put on my products, but my personal value is immeasurable. And I want everybody to know that.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that I'm the only one stuck with myself for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I might as well know me and trust me and believe in me.
Good girl.
Because who else is going to do it? Probably your family, probably your friends, but you are with yourself every single minute, every single second for your entire life. And you need to know how valuable you are for yourself. Because once you know you, then you can be you. And once you have that strong sense of self-worth, everything is possible. There's nothing you can't get or do or try to do or say about yourself. It's just that is what I've grown. Yep. I think back to when I was in high school, middle school, college, and how much I did for other people to make them happy.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still do things for people that I care about. And I want to provide service to my clients, and I want to see them succeed. But I also realize what my worth is, and that I need to do things that make me happy as well, not just what other people need. So
exactly.
I hope that answered your question.
You did. And that was really good. I want to give you a big squeeze because it's true. Like we've got to look after ourselves. And if you don't love yourself first, how can you love anyone else? And that's something my mum taught me as a growing child. What advice would you give anyone who is looking to start a wisdom business similar to yours, coaching wise?
Yes. So if anybody was looking to start a coaching business, my first advice would be to make sure you fully understand what coaching is.
Yep.
Because that's how you'll attract the people that you want to work with. If you want to have more of a mentor-y type coaching business, make sure you understand that. If you want to do more of a mindset only kind of coaching business, make sure you know that. And the way to know that is to practice. So that would be my first step, is make sure you understand what you're getting into when it comes to coaching. Second thing would be practice. Friends, family, strangers, post on your Facebook, post in some Facebook groups, be like, I need to practice 30-minute free coaching session. Come on. And that's how I got my first client. And she stayed with me for a year. So
awesome.
So that's the kind of stuff. Just put yourself out there. And if crickets happen when you put your post out there, try again, adjust the wording, post in a different group. Don't give up just from one time. So that would be my advice. The other advice would be hire a coach.
Yeah. That should be the top of the list, shouldn't it?
Yes. Well, if you go into a coaching program, a lot of times there's required peer coaching in there.
Okay.
So you get some decent free coaching, not free because it's a paid program, but you get some coaching back and forth from people who are practicing anyway. Yeah. So that's why my second step would be hiring a coach, because the first step is getting your certification. You're getting that free, and understanding your coaching and that kind of stuff. And then get a coach that you're paying so that you have someone to bounce those ideas off of who has been there before. Yeah. And who can kind of walk you through. So kind of like a coaching mentor type deal. And I feel like I have a lot of more advice, but.
Well, that's because you're a coach.
Yes, that's true. I have a lot of advice.
You made a really good point then when you mentioned, have a true understanding of what a coach is, what a mentor is, because it will help you engage properly with the right audience. Right. And it's so true, isn't it? Because, and what I'm getting at is the copy that we put out there, like the content we put out there and how we word to try and attract people can confuse people if it's not, okay, hang on a minute, you're advertising yourself as a coach, but how you're wording it and how you're defining it yourself sounds like more you're a mentor. So that's very good advice there. Yeah, that's very good advice. And I would love to ask you, what's the biggest challenge that you've ever faced or that you feel that you may be facing to sort of grow or had growth in with your business that you're tackling or you've tackled?
The thing that comes up into my head is consistency. It's hard to write copy consistently. Yep. And posting everywhere. But it's not that the writing part was hard per se. Yeah. It was that fear that I talked about earlier of what other people would think of what I was posting.
Yes.
So that was my biggest challenge, I think, that's what was stopping me from pressing that post button was, what if my aunt doesn't like what I say? What if that stranger from the Chamber of Commerce networking event that I went to doesn't like what I wrote? Yeah. What if that man who I used to work with at 5 jobs ago doesn't like what I wrote? Yeah. And the thing that I had to remind myself is, if they don't like it, they're not my audience. They're not the person who's going to buy my stuff.
Yes, exactly.
So why do I care? Yeah. I don't need their validation. And if they want to get angry about it or comment, that's awesome, because then the more comments there are, the more people will view it. Yeah. So thank you, algorithm. So that's what I had to learn. In the beginning, I was too like flu and pastel. And I realized that's not me. I'm not pastel. I'm bold. I had pink hair for 2 years. I don't have it right now because I was tired of keeping up with the pink hair. But I'm bold. I curse. I am, blunt and honest and straightforward. I'll tell you like it is. Yeah. And I was holding back from telling my truth and telling my story and telling tough love to my people because I was afraid.
And you know what? Like you just said, you've got to attract your audience. And if you're being all frou-frou about it and very, like you said, pastel about it, you might be like, an audience might come, like you might engage with a potential client who is presuming you're a particular way. Whereas if you are just yourself, you will find the audience who'll go, I love this chick. I'm going to engage with her. Let's connect. And that's the client you want, isn't it? Because they've got to connect with you on a personal level as well. Like your personality has to work, doesn't it? Especially as a coach. Yeah. They've got to be willing to listen to that hard love, I guess we'll call it sometimes. Right.
It is. And coaching isn't like, the whole point of being coached and having a coach is to have someone to tell you what you just said. So like if you said something so like so stupid, like, you want someone who will be like, let me tell you back what you just said. And then I say, you know, this is what I heard. And I'll say what they said. And then they'll be like, oh, okay. So you don't want someone who's going to be hold back and not hear you and not listen and not take that intuition into account and those words that you say and those feelings that they get and hear and throw it back at you. You want someone who will tell you what they just heard and what they're seeing. And so that's me. I'm one of those.
You want someone who will pull you up, as we call it here in Australia. You want someone who will pull you up and say, hang on a minute. No. That's
right.
What did you just say? Yeah, you want someone like that. You don't want a yes person constantly going, yeah, okay, and not really diving into what you're saying. A side question I do like asking my client, I was going to say client then. A side question I like to ask my guests is, what legacy are you looking to leave?
Ooh, I love that. So my vision is to create a world filled with as many unapologetically successful women as I possibly can before I leave this earth. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, I had a death in the family, and that really got me thinking about my mortality, right? And that is another reason why I want to launch this course, because no matter if I'm here or not, that course can exist and it can help people for a long term. And that is, I think, the answer to your question. Maybe. Yes.
Perfect answer.
Okay. I love being perfect.
Hey, we all are.
Yes.
You are perfect, my love. Is there any offer you'd like to share with our audience today?
I have a lot of offers, but what I would really like people to know about is my book, What's Your Worth and I Don't Need Money. So it's on Amazon. Grab a copy. And what I'd really love for you to do when you grab that copy is to take a look at the back of the book, and you will find my contact information, and I want you to reach out to me, and I am offering you a free 30-minute coaching call around any topic that comes up for you when you're reading through this book. So,
Devan, you've been amazing to chat to today.
Thank you.
I've loved our conversation.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best, and got to have you back on again. Maybe we'll have you on after your summit or something like that, and we can have a good old chat about that.
Yes, I would love to, and I'm happy to be back and do anything. I like teaching, so I'm
I love it.
Willing to share my knowledge.
Well, you've been fabulous, like I said, and the details of Devan's offer will be in our podcast summary below. Be sure to click on the links and don't forget to subscribe to the Wise Dome podcast. All right, guys, you take care of yourselves, and thank you again so much, Devan, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Wise Dome podcast. If you enjoyed and have been inspired by this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, do subscribe and please share it with others. Post about us on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, Nikki Kelly, you can follow me on Instagram at Wise Dome Podcast, WISEDOME podcast. I'm Nikki Kelly. Thanks again, and we'll catch up next time.